In this episode of Game Terrain Engineering, I finished part 3 of a 3-part project, the cursed dais. Wow, this project took me a long time. It had Memorial Day in between it. I took a little short break, and so the project was half done. So coming back from Memorial Day, I had to get my brain around where I had left off and what I had left to do. So in this video, I'm going to show you the remaining steps that I needed to finish to complete the cursed dais. It involves the staircases and the central base area, which is 4 layers thick, and I'm also going to discuss some nitty-gritty details about what it took to get this thing fit together properly. And I also made some changes. From the first video to this final video, there were some tweaks and changes I made that I couldn't have predicted back when I wanted to start this project, but I'll show you those in a little bit. Nothing major. But let's get started. I'm going to take you over to the time-lapse video where I am painting the staircases that have not yet been glued together. I've got all the stairs painted this dark cement gray, and I want to give them a sponge painting, and I want to do something a little different, something unique that I've not tried before. I did a test of a bunch of different colors. This is a very dark gray on the cement gray, black, a lighter gray, a blue, even a white. I decided to go with a dark purple. Now, I'm going to test this. If I don't like the look of it, I can just repaint this gray and start all over. But I liked the blue here, but I wanted something a little darker, just something not blue. So I'm going to go with the purple. I'm going to test to see what this looks like, and we'll see what it looks like when it's done, and I'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. These are the 4 base pieces right here. They will be stacked 9-inch, 8-inch, 9-inch, 8-inch like that. And there's a gap that I cut out here for where the staircases will go. I'll have to widen that. But I'm not going to glue this together yet, but I am going to paint it. So I want to go ahead and get a base coat put on here while the staircases are drying. I've just painted them. So I'm going to go ahead and get a base coat put on these and get it started. I'm going to probably avoid painting near the gaps just because I know I'm going to have to cut these a little wider, so don't panic when you see me not painting on the ends here. I have 4 painted staircases. They started out with a medium gray, sort of a cement color, and then I gave them a sponge painting with a purple. Now I need to glue them together. Now you'll notice I didn't paint the sides. That's because I'm going to have a piece that goes over this, and I'll paint it later. But I want to go ahead and get these glued up so that I can use them to cut the gaps in the base. So this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to use tacky glue. I'm going to use my finger to smear it because I want a good contact between the foam. Once everything's done, I'll put something heavy on this to keep it pressed down, let it dry overnight, and it should be good to go. I now have 4 staircases painted and glued. You'll notice the sides are exposed here, and that's okay, that was intentional. I also have not given them a wash yet. I'm gonna wait until the central base is done and these are matched up, and then I'll do the wash. And the reason for the wash is the gaps between the stone steps, every 1 inch, they're a little hard to see with this purple. But I think a dark wash will help pull them out and make them a little more visible. So the next step that I need to do on these is I am going to take a piece of 1/4 inch foam, and I am going to trace the profile of each of these on it, and I'm going to cut them out. And what I want is a straight line running down, almost like a handrail, but it's not going to be a real handrail. It's going to be very close to the actual surface of the steps. But it's just going to be a 1/4 inch piece that's going to run along here, and it will give me a flat surface to paint what I'm calling a handrail, but it's really not a handrail. It's just going to be another flat, thin piece down, just to sort of give it something extra, something that pulls the eyes to the stairs. This is some leftover strip from when I was cutting the stairs, and it's the perfect size to do the 2 sides. I'm not going to be using a pen to do this. I'm going to be using a stylus here just to imprint in the foam. And what I'm going to do is I just want to trace, let me turn this sideways so you can see this here. I just want to trace the edge of the steps like this. And the reason I'm doing this is, instead of using the blade to go ahead and cut it, is it may be a little hard to see, but I have the steps here, okay? I'm going to cut underneath it, and I want a straight line. Let me find my ruler here. I want to do a straight line that goes from the lowest point here to the highest point, actually maybe another 1/4 inch higher. I want to draw like a straight line would be going straight down the steps. So to do that, I'm going to, again, you probably cannot see the line that I'm going to do to cut, but I'm going to make an angle here. Let's try right about, it's kind of tricky. And I can change this later. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out, and then I'll show you what it'll look like. So here goes the time lapse. I've got this piece right here. As you can see, it's sort of staggered. The idea is that this will be glued on like this, okay? Like that. Once this is secure on here like this, I'll cut another piece that's triangular in shape, and it will cover all of this, cover all these glue lines and things like that. This is simply to provide and it'll be another 1/4 inch piece, by the way. This will simply be so that I have a 1/2 inch flat surface running down that I can glue a piece on for a handrail. And I have to do this for both sides and for all 4 staircases. I have the side pieces painted and dried. You can see I didn't do the ends. They're going to be clipped off. So now what I'm going to do is glue these onto the side, and I'm going to use some straight pins to secure them so that they'll dry well. As soon as this is dry, I'll be able to tackle the side piece. All right. One of the tricks I learned from Terrain Tutor, who I'm going to give a shout out to this time, is when you're using the straight pins, is don't go straight down. With one pin, you come in at an angle, and another pin, you come in at a different angle. and it keeps it from getting loose. So there we go, that's good. And I'll take another pin and I'll come in up here at it from a different angle. And he's right, that does hold very well. I'm probably just going to stick some extra ones in just to help certain areas stay connected. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this other one glued on, and then I've got 3 more staircases to do. I've glued the purple pieces that go along the steps, and now I need to do this facing piece. Like, for example, here's one right here. So really, it's very simple. I've just flipped this over on a piece of 1/4 inch foam. I'm using a sharp blade here, and I'm not cutting, I'm just tracing very closely around the edges so that I have an outline of what I need. Like that. And I'm going to use a straight edge to just finish the cut. I really should be doing this on the cutting mat. And this last piece right here. All right. Now this foam has a piece of plastic on the back. I've learned the hard way. Sometimes I forget to take that off. So if you buy this 1/4 inch foam, pull the plastic off. It paints better. So now I have this side, which is a pretty good fit. And I have this side, which is a pretty good fit. Actually, I've got it on the wrong side. This one goes here, and this one goes here. Yep. And then what I'll do is, if it's a little uneven, I'll use some sandpaper or something and level this out. And then I'm going to place a strip over the top of this that looks like a little mini handrail. And the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to texture the outside of this with a brick pattern. I like to collect shoebox lids. The main reason being is, you know, I can paint inside it, the paint stays inside. But the other thing is when I'm done, I can take this and move it away and bring another project in, another painting or whatever I'm going to do, rather than having to pick these up. But I have small ones, I have bigger ones, and I usually get them from my wife. I don't have this many pairs of shoes. So what I'm going to do right now is give these side pieces a coat, 2 coats of gray. And then, of course, I'll do the sponge painting on the side to get them to match. Now, one thing I want you to understand, some of you might not be liking my color scheme, this purple. I'm going to give it a dark wash, which I think is going to tone down the purple a little bit. But this particular project I made for Frostgrave. Frostgrave takes place in this, you know, magical city that was covered in ice for 1,000 years, and it's just defrosted. And I picture this city as being very colorful, lots of magic, lots of strange materials being used in construction. So that's why I chose to go with the purple. Again, you know, if you want to do something like this, choose your own color scheme. I like vivid colors. I think they lend well to like a fantasy setting. For Frostgrave especially, I want something that when it's on the table, you know, it really jumps out. Hopefully the players that I play against will like it as well. I'm going to give these 2 coats. I'm going to let the first coat dry, obviously, and give it a second coat, and then I'll do the sponge painting. After this, I've got to tackle after I glue these onto the stairs, I've got to tackle measuring the width of the stairs and cutting a gap into the base for them to slot into. I have not painted the base yet, just for that reason. I don't want to waste paint and paint sections that I'm going to eventually cut out. I'm going to paint that the base, the center base, after the stairs are 100% done. The side panels have dried, and now it's time to do a little sponge painting on the side. So I'm just gonna squeeze some purple out here. And again, I'm using a damaged sponge that I've cut the edges. And what I'm going for is I have, you know, I'm wanting to match the staircase, sort of the density of the staircase. So we'll see what this looks like. And that's about the consistency that I'm looking for right there. Right there. And again, I don't need to do the tops, sides, bottoms, any of that, because it's going to be covered. So only the sides. So here's the staircase, and I've got the 2 sides cut out and painted. I did the sponge painting on the sides here. So now what I'm going to do is glue these onto the side. All right, the next thing I have to do is I need to create the handrails that will run down the top of the stairs here. And I could have made those out of 1/4-inch foam, but instead what I've chosen to do is I've cut 8 strips from a piece of chipboard here. And I've cut them oversized because I'll trim them as I need them. But here's the basic idea. I am going to paint them a dark purple to match this. So I'll make a small cut here and here. And the reason for that is it's to match the back and the front. See, I'm gonna glue it down so this comes down the back like this. This will be glued down, and then on the front right here, and then I'll trim it as needed. But it makes a nice clean handrail here, and I think it'll look nice when it's painted up and done. So I finished painting the 8 pieces of chipboard, and so now I'm going to glue this one on. You can see that I made a slice here and a slice here, and I'll touch this up with paint later, especially the edges. Just not concerned with that right now. I'm going to glue only the top portion on right now, just this, and then when this is solid, I'll glue the back ends. I also used a knife, and I forgot to record this, but I used the sharp blade to trim both pieces so that they're fairly level. That should allow a better bond. So I just put some glue on here, and I want these so that they're bent down like this. So I'm just going to put this on here. I have plenty of time to center it. Get it right on there where I like it. That looks good. I'll glue the other one on, and then I'll tackle all the remaining 3 stairs. So I've got the central bases all painted up. I've got the edging done. And now I'm just going to glue them together. Here is the 9-inch bottom base. It will be, visible parts will be here on the corners and on the edging. And I've already done the sponge painting there. So what I'm going to do now is just smear this glue really good and then put it together. Before I start assembling this thing, I thought I'd catch you up on a few changes here and there. Here's an example of a staircase. This one's pretty much done. I've got some touch-up work to do, and I need to give it a black wash to sort of dull down the purple. Here is the glued together base. It's not 100% dry yet, but you may notice I went ahead and put a decorative purple square in the center. I'm going to do a second coat on it. It doesn't look as good as it will when it's finished. But the reason I did that was I cut out the corner embellishments, and here's why. Once I was getting ready to glue them down, and it occurred to me that that was a bad idea. Because once I glue those in place, I can't put anything else there. And I thought to myself, you know, I might use this for other games here and there, other adventures, and I don't want to be locked into having these four, you know, they're sort of like benches or stools. I decided to scrap those. I didn't want to put those here. Now I could still use them. I have them and I can set them there. So I scrapped those corner embellishments and decided to go with this purple square in the center just for one extra little bit of eye grabbing. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to have to cut these gaps because as you can see, the stairs, they don't butt up against it. So I'm going to have to cut the two 9-inch pieces and trim them so that this sits flush. Then I'm going to make a cut here and here, like that. And so I need to cut away this part and the piece below it. Here you go, the cursed dais. You can see the stairs are mounted. I've got a couple little figures here getting ready to fight over a little treasure chest. One thing I haven't done yet is I haven't given this another coat of purple. I'm going to do that. And there's also some little rough edges that need to be painted. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. Very happy with it. It's very large, as you can see. I mean, it takes up a good 2 feet square base here that I've got it on. And the staircases are removable still. Haven't decided if I'm going to glue them on or not. I'm probably not, just to make it more portable. But a couple things I want you to notice. I like this gap in here. Nice place for, you know, creepy crawlies to hide and come crawling out and attack whatever's on the base. You can see the contrast on the stone texture here. But I hope you like this. This was a this was a fun one to make, and this was one that was also sort of tiring. It was a lot of repetitive tasks. You know, you can see with 4 staircases, a lot of repetitiveness. But the base was not too hard to make. The painting wasn't too hard, but lots of cutting, lots of gluing and waiting. But I hope you like this one. Again, this is one I saw in a video game screenshot, and I converted it using Tinkercad to a 3D model so I could flip it around and take a look at it. It's kind of nice to see something that you've sort of envisioned or designed as a 3D model come to life on your table. And this one's going to make a really nice Frostgrave centerpiece. As I said, I've got some matching pieces here. You know, this piece could go easily on top here. Could put a crypt, put, you know, some sort of rune on the top. Whatever I need, it's going to be fun to play this one. And obviously, since there's 4 entryways for a 4-player game of Frostgrave, this will be really fun. This would also fit easy into any RPG. Anytime you need something that's very central, very focused on one small area, this could do it. So, you know, I have no estimate on how much time I spent on this. Cutting, gluing, painting, assembling, I'm going to estimate probably about 10 hours, maybe 11 or 12. Definitely no more than 12. But definitely worth it, and I can't wait to actually get this in play in a game. So until the next video, I hope you like this one. Leave comments if you like it. If you decide to tackle something like this, I'd love to see your take on it. Include a photo, please. I'll see you in the next video.